In today's episode of the Pathwork Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Blair Gatchel, and he's hailing over from the team at Bond.AI, and they're doing one very neat thing, which is AI for finance, and they say AI for good. So we want to really jump into what Bond.AI is all about, who they're serving, and how Blair is thinking about growth for the company as he is setting up VP of Sales and Growth. So Blair, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate you having me on.
Of course, yeah. So give us a 360 overview. What is Bond.AI all about?
So we're an embedded finance platform that will significantly increase the revenue for a financial institution by enhancing the financial wellness and financial health of consumers and small businesses. So you said finance, AI for finance, AI for good. We mean that. So we will help a financial institution, a bank or a credit union grow their income by helping their customers and members keep more of theirs.
Yep, that makes a whole lot of sense. And what would you say, the types of the businesses that onboard with the product? Maybe give us a rough overview. What types of organization would benefit the most? Like what characterizes them a little bit?
Yeah, so generally financial services, right? And I like to talk about the service in financial services. Service is a helpful act. So what we will do is we will help primarily banks and credit unions, but generally, general financial services as well, literally help provide the financial help that their customers and members actually want. So think in terms of customer experience. What is it you want from your bank, for example? Well, what you really want is help. Most of the industry these days, and you see this all over the place, hyper-personalization. But most organizations want to get hyper, and that's great, right? And I think that's right. But most organizations want to get hyper-personalized to identify propensity to buy. They want to sell more. What we want to do is we want to get hyper-personalized to figure out ways to help. What do those customers need? What's going to help them, right? And then it's the big and I like out there. We want to help people and grow profits, and we can. In fact, I think that's the way to maximize profits.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, okay, within those organizations, right? Because I'm on your website here right now. It says I can request an SDK. Who is typically the person who is bringing in the tool into the organization? Like, who is the champion within?
Yeah, that varies a little bit, and I think this is probably a common challenge in growth-oriented, in particular, innovative technology companies. There's nobody putting out an RFP for what we do because it's new and innovative, right? So we have to essentially spread the gospel. I joke and call it missionary work. We really have to educate the marketplace on what we do. And then there isn't always a very clearly defined role within an organization that is our primary, kind of primary buyer, if you will, or our primary champion. Sometimes the chief marketing officer, sometimes the chief digital officer, sometimes the chief strategy officer, sometimes the chief banking officer. It does vary a little bit, organization by organization.
And what would you say, like, is a typical journey of somebody getting to know Bond.AI? In other words, what are the client acquisition channels you guys leverage in order to, share the word about Bond?
Yeah, there's a couple of specific strategies that we do. Certainly, we've developed a pretty robust partner network. Coattails, right? We want to leverage somebody else's relationship to speed, that customer acquisition, process there, and of course, that gives us some immediate credibility as well. Important in a growth-oriented and fairly young tech company. And then thought leadership. We talk a lot about financial inclusion, for example, and that's a concept that just about everybody will get behind. At least, and frankly, hopefully, everybody will get behind. But we can make it profitable. which will actually make it happen, right? So we can get it out of a PR strategy and into a strategy for the industry. And that benefits everybody, right? That benefits the people, that benefits the institution, the bank or the credit union. It benefits the economy in general, right? If we can help, 2/3 of America is kind of struggling a little bit right now financially. If we can help, more people in video game terms level up, kind of go from, a living paycheck to paycheck to being a saver to being an investor, that helps everybody, right? That's how you grow the economy from the ground up. But, we really do have to spread the message about that, and to a large degree, it starts with thought leadership and, connecting these, social concepts that people really get behind and showing how it can impact their business and connecting the financial and the social.
It's interesting because you mentioned the message, and the education is obviously tremendously important for you guys. How do you think then about the website? Like, what role does the website play in, communicating that and bringing them through that journey of understanding?
If you ask a sales trainer out there, they'll tell you 2/3 of the decision process is made before they ever speak to anybody in sales. And everybody is doing their own research out there, and rightfully. I mean, I do. I would imagine you do too, Lucas. It's true. So we have to, be able to communicate effectively through that channel, and we have to be able to, support the message and the value proposition through, besides when they're just talking to me or our team. And the website and other digital communications is the way to do that.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Obviously, always, folks that are, when you have a complex message or a change message to communicate, there's always something to improve, on the page. Like, where do you see sort of the strength of the current messaging and the website, and where do you see even room for improvement? Where do you want to bring it towards to?
So, our AI engine is called the empathy engine. We want to, we want a financial institution to know their customers and members better so they can serve them better. And you hear me talk about needs, right? It's not about trying to sell, it's about solving needs and providing help. If you want to put that in marketing terms, it's empathetic marketing, right? So, I think we need to do the same. Everybody responds best to personalized messages, and how, what's the context of how this helps me or my organization. That is in effect, well, not in effect, specifically what the empathy engine does. And, so we definitely need and plan on significantly increased personalization through, our message that we're delivering in any channel, whether it's the website, through a conversation, a presentation, demonstration, even through our partners. All right, let's think about, what is it that you want as an organization, as an individual? How do we connect to that? And then that's a basis for moving forward.
Makes complete sense. Super interesting. And I like how you draw the parallel to your product, because it just shows that the same logic applies to the beginning of the journey, and not just once you're executing on a product. Very good. Yep. I have some rapid fire questions as we sort of slowly moving towards the end of the interview, or short and crisp.
All right.
Pathmark Presents one. We learned about what you guys are doing. We talked about growth a little bit, the channels, the importance of empathetic messaging. I would like to get to know you a little bit better in your journey. All so right. If you're up for it, I have some rapid fire questions for that.
Sure.
Cool. What's the last book you read, or the last podcast you listened to?
The last podcast I listened to was James Robert Lay's Banking on Digital Growth. And he was kind enough to have me on that podcast as well. And it's fantastic. He also is an author of the book. It's not the last book I read, but it's fantastic.
What's the name of the book, just that people can check it out?
Banking on Digital Growth as well.
Oh, it's the actual name. Okay.
Yeah.
People will find it like that, I'm pretty sure. What is one single thing?
Yeah.
What's one single thing your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Yeah, growth. I think that uh, young technology companies, that's the biggest thing. It's customer acquisition and growth.
Mm-hmm. If there would be no boundaries in tech, right? Everything is possible. What's the one thing that you would fix for your role today?
Hmm. Yeah, the that spreading the gospel would be easier. Really, our message is of course I think it's pretty compelling, right? We'll grow income for you by helping you know, helping your customers keep more of theirs. That's a pretty compelling message,
Indeed.
to me. Obviously,
I would agree.
yeah, but there's always, I mean, it's never easy, right? But yeah, the spreading the gospel process always should be easier.
That makes a lot of sense. It's funny sometimes, it's just there's people out there that are looking, but they just haven't heard, right? And
Right.
that's the other thing. Very good. Okay, very cool. Very last question, right?
All right.
So let's do a bit of time travel. We go back to Georgia State University, right? You're heading out of formal education into the world of business. What's the one advice you give yourself for your journey?
Ooh, yeah. That's a good one. You got to think ahead, right? You have to think strategically and act deliberately, and and that perhaps the ability to think strategically comes with wisdom and experience, and maybe a little bit of gray hair, and I got a little bit of that. So I think I would that's the advice I would give. You've got to be, in particular as a relatively young person, you got to be thinking what's next, and where do I want to be 2 steps from now. I think that process is the same for an organization. We're certainly doing that as an organization, thinking, okay, proactively and deliberately, where are we going to go? And you want to be in the driver's seat of your career, and you want to be proactively driving an organization. And yeah. So if I went back to my days just about to graduate from business school, I think I would draw some parallels to the strategic classes that I had to take, and talk about how we would implement that, in the life and career term.
I think it's a very interesting, it's a very, very good concept to think through. Appreciate you taking the time, Blair, with us today to be guest on Pathwing Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Bond.AI, what's the one thing they should remember?
Well, I've said it a couple of times, but we'll help a financial institution grow their income by enabling that institution to help their customers and members keep more of theirs. And we'll have the social impact and the financial impact. And the "and" is really important to us and should be to everybody.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathwing Presents.
Thanks for having me.